all been rejected. So he collected them in a book that him and his friend released. Like, they just went to a printing press and released it. So I hosted his show and like did a joke. And Giannis has 2 kids, and a lot of like the kid, he lives across the street from me. So all the neighborhood kids were going to be there. So it's all like kids from between the ages of like 10 to 14. So I had to be, appropriate.
Right.
I don't work too blue anyways, but I wanted to make it kid friendly. So I was working on a joke, and my joke was that my wife edited it. I don't remember my original version, but the joke she edited became my joke was this, with global. I had to do it in the character's voice too.
Okay.
With global warming on the rise, I don't see a problem. I see an opportunity to invest in the newest hot real estate market, Antarctica. You come to my exciting 8-week financial education seminar I host at the Days Inn on Roosevelt Boulevard. We're going to teach you how to take an igloo and make it an ig-you. And my wife came up with the final bit, the ig-you part. Right? And it worked. Like, the kids ate it up. Like, they
absolutely
ate that joke up.
Well, see, kids are tricky though. They're even worse than adults
so hard to perform in front of.
Right, and then I guess you just panic and go back to fart jokes. Yeah,
it's just hard just because they don't have it. Like, kids in general don't have attention spans, and they have even less attention spans than I did now because
and the references are different.
Everything. Yeah, it's like I have to. I don't know, I don't have a kid. I don't know, what a 12-year-old's I don't know what a 12-year-old's gonna get or not, So.
And all they heard was your wife's part of that whole thing. They heard, ig you.
Yeah.
You.
They loved it. But I did it at a show this weekend. I hosted a rock show. And it was like these hard rock bands in an art gallery in Chinatown. And so it was like a rock audience, it was like indie rock audience. And I did that joke there too, and it worked there. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. My wife comes up with jokes, and they always work. Always.
So is she your muse?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, it's like one of the things, when when we first started dating and getting to know each other, the comedy was our shared comedy was our common language, right? It's like we both loved early 90s Saturday Night Live. We can quote the same sketches off the top of our head. Kids in the Hall. We both watched Kids in the Hall. We both watched Mystery Science Theater 3000. All of these same. It's our language is all of that.
Kids in the Hall is amazing.
The best. That's the best.
You can't describe the comedy.
No.
You have to see it. And they'll take something, Mr. Cabbage Head, Mr. Heavy Foot.
Yeah.
And they'll take these absurd topics. But the reason,
the Voyagers in the office setting bear traps to capture office workers.
Yeah, they were talking about the reason that we have a definite, and I don't want to describe it like it's some kind of problem that we need to get a hold of, but there's a definite flow of comedians via Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And
so many of my favorite comics.
This needs to stop now.
No, but Kids in the Hall are from Canada. Mike Myers,
Saturday Night Live.
Mike Myers, I love. Nathan from Nathan For You's Canadian.
William Shatner, who doesn't know he's a comedian.
Yeah. But I went to Toronto and paid homage to the Rivoli, which is where all those guys get their start. It's this bar in downtown Toronto. It's this divey little bar, like some you'd see on South Street or whatever in Philly. And they have a performance space in the back.
Canada's an amazing place because I remember going over to a couple of my friends, taking a long weekend, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking,
I love Toronto.
I was in Quebec. I was thinking, if we had 2 days, we could probably take this place over.
You could probably do it.
It really gives you that feel. It's too inviting. But they said that somebody was saying that the reason that Canadians are such good comedians is because they get a healthy mix of American comedy and British.
Yeah.
Whereas we get some British, but more American, clearly. And they get a mix, so they refine that. Because there is a British influence there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Canadian culture has such a big British influence. And then I heard Mike Myers or Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall or someone talk about it, is that one of the things you get the benefit of I don't even know how many, like the percentage of people in Canada that live within an hour of Toronto. It's like 80% of the country lives somewhere around there. And you get American TV.
Right.
Like you just get it, and so you get it, but you're coming from, like you're getting American culture without being American.
Right.
So you just have your own unique viewpoint across like whatever Great Lake you're from at what's going on. And you're just like, you can really just say from Canada, like you're in the backyard looking over your neighbor's fence, wondering why the hell is my neighbor doing that?
Right.
And then they also just have the hereditary British kind of crossover and everything. But I love British comic. I love Steve Coogan.
I don't know.
He does Alan Partridge is his character, and he has these movies out called The Trip. The Trip movies are like perfect movies. They're so good. They're just like this. Him and another comic just go on a road trip together. And make it just goof around.
Is there something in comedy that you're better at than your brother? Is there an area of it that you're?
Oh, that no, not. I mean,
If you had to have like a comedy like showdown.
Oh no, he is a professional comedian who has like a network TV show and an HBO special. I cannot compete with that. But we are different comedians.
But you're spry and energetic, and you could just.
So it's different though, because I'm definitely in person more. He's very low key.
Okay.
He's very, very low key and soft spoken. He's like in real life super quiet. And unless he's comfortable, like if he's around family, he's like a little bit more bubbly. But if he's around a lot of people, like we just had a party with a lot of my friends from Philly, and he doesn't know all of them. And he came to the party. Him and his wife came, and he just stuck to the people he knew.
Right.
He's just very comfortable that way. Whereas like I need to meet everyone.
So you're more of the social butterfly.
I am the social butterfly. I am a social butterfly.
Russell wants to know what you think of Tim Allen.
He's terrible. I never watched anything with him. Never. It's terrible.
When you said the thing about the neighbor looking over the fence,
Owen from Home Improvement.
Yeah, that's the image I thought. I'm like, huh. I've heard this. Oh, Home Improvement.
Yeah. No, Tim Allen. I don't like Tim Allen. No,
he doesn't like you either.
He's another one I don't count as a comedian per se.
He's dumb. He's just the lowest common denominator kind of thing. He's like the opposite of the NPR chuckle.
The grunt is the opposite of the NPR chuckle.
Yeah. Like the Larry the Cable Guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
That you're just like, this is the lowest common denominator. Let's just beat up on the easiest person to beat up.
Which I think some of that stuff is funny, but in skit form. And I think sometimes comedians take skits and try and make shows out of them.
Yeah.
And it just
although there's so many bad Saturday Night Live movies that it's like, it's a perfectly fine 3-minute sketch once.
Right.
It shouldn't be a sketch that you do every week, and it shouldn't be something that you turn into a 2.5-hour movie. The only one of them that I liked is Wayne's World. Wayne's World's the only one of them that like really kind of like.
What about the Blues Brothers?
Oh, Blues Brothers, yeah. Blues Brothers is pretty
I was about to throw you out of studio.
Yeah, Blues Brothers is great. I mean, it's like from my
Well, I think the Blues Brothers is more of a musical than is a comedy.
Yeah.
You know, actually.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and my brother was like, "Ha! You just watched a musical." I was like, "What? Where?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah. When I watched West Side Story.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. I watched My Fair Lady? What?
Yeah, it was like tricking me into eating liver.
Yeah.
That wasn't steak.
Yeah. No,
It's
that is
never
a
been
musical.
steak.
It is a musical.
It is a musical. It's a good musical.
Yeah.
Is there like a comedy camp? Do you teach kids comedy? You mentor people?
I've taught a comedy class. I did it once. It's just like kind of need to juggle into my schedule. I had a kind of opening. I did it like a couple months ago. Super fun. I just came up with an outline of how I come about approaching my bits and ideas and how I generate ideas and where I rip other people off from pretty much. And so I did that, and then I make it a point to, I mean, people probably think like I know some people probably think like kind of I can be word gets back to me sometimes from that some other comics think I'm kind of annoying with some things because I'm pretty outspoken over what I think is like the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things.
Okay.
And if I will always make it a point. I try open mics are like the drag of comedy. Like you go and you sign up at like to get on at like a show will start at 8 p.m. and depending where it is and how many people there are, you might not get home until midnight. And you're able to do 3 minutes worth of material. And that is just, it's just a slog. It's like, I want to be home. I want to watch baseball. I want to watch the World Series. I want to watch basketball. I want to watch wrestling. Or I have homework, so it's just a slog sitting through those. But that's like, it's like the equivalent of like when you're, going to like the batting cage if you're a baseball player. Like you want to play baseball, but you got to put in the work in the batting cage.
Taxi. What about Taxi?
Oh, great show. Great show. Andy Kaufman I love Andy Kaufman.
Do you have a favorite episode of Taxi?
I have a favorite story from Taxi.
Okay, tell it.
It's when Andy Kaufman used to do the was it Tony? He did Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton, yes.
And he went to Taxi set he was on Taxi as Tony Clifton and refused to break character the whole time.
And he got fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like throwing drinks in Tony Danza's face and all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he came back the next day like nothing happened as Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
That is so great. That's like the funniest thing.
Yeah, I mean, that became so weird at the actual time to be going through it. What was real, what was comedy? It was so weird. But I remember one of the funniest things on there was when Jim took his driving test.
I don't remember it.
I
watched it when I was little with my parents. They loved Taxi so much.
He's asking, they drew it out. They drew it out, and they masterfully drew out this thing for minutes where he leans over and he says, what does a yellow light mean? And Judd Hirsch says, go slower, Jim. And he goes, what?
Yeah, I know that scene. Yeah, I know that scene.
On for,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Go slower. What?
Yeah.
And I just thought they just pulled it off. It was funny each time.
Yeah.
And then Family Guy is kind of just stretch things out sometimes. I mean, sometimes I say, how far are they going to take it? But I thought they did that artfully.
Well, Family Guy is more of the same formula kind of thing.
It is. There is a formula.
This thing happens. Oh, this reminds me of the time this or of this silly contraption.
Yeah.
And then
how many times an average episode of Family Guy has a flashback?
Right. It's like
I don't watch this stupid
it's
show.
12 times. It's like
it's like flashback, giant chicken fight, and
compare Family Guy to The Simpsons.
The old one.
Yeah.
Like
it's like, isn't it the same thing? Psychotic baby, fat drunk dad.
It's the same list of characters, and look at how good one is compared to the other.
Yeah.
Like The Simpsons is like high end art. Like that's like it is like The Simpsons is like Hall of Fame, like American cultural artifact.
It's like the longest running show next to like Sesame Street.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Like 28 years or something now.
Something ridiculous.
Something like that.
Something
right?
more than my age.
I haven't watched The Simpsons regularly since I've been in college.
Right.
But I mean,
it's still there for you.
It's still there for me. And then they always have like the Simpsons marathon on.
Yeah,
like
the Halloween one.
And I watch
That's the best.
The Simpsons, like anything from like the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons is like I watched it. I'm like, this is so good. Like I'm like this everything with it. It's like it's not just it's hilarious. It's character driven.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has like something. It's also like great satire. It has something so much bigger to say about everything. Like, one of my financial guru like influences, like or things I ripped off more than anything is Phil Hartman, especially from the episode where he's does Monorail. The Monorail episode of The Simpsons, because he's like this huckster who's coming in and convinces the good people of Springfield that the monorail is going to save them. So Phil Hartman, the general rule of thumb is that a lot of people involved with Saturday Night Live say he's the number one person ever on Saturday Night Live.
He was The Rock for